Testing 1, 2, 3. This will be the October 7th, 2015 City Council meeting.
Everybody ready?
Ready? Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. This is our regular City Council meeting of the City of Satellite Beach, October 7th, 2015, approximately 7 p.m. Please stand and join me in a moment of silence and a pledge. And a pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, I've asked Councilman Breimer to do the presentation of a proclamation recognizing October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If we could have Melanie, Tammy, Pearl, and Landon come up, please. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Read this proclamation. Well, first of all, we have Melanie is from Breast Friend, and Tammy and Pearl and Lan are from the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer. All right, let me read this. Okay, very good. Okay, this is an official proclamation of the City of Satellite Beach, whereas breast cancer is one of the most common cancers diagnosed in the United States. More than 200,000 women, 1 out of every 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year. And whereas the risk factors associated with this illness is essential to prevention, older women and those with personal or family history of breast cancer are at greater risk for developing the illness. And whereas breast cancer is an unpredictable disease with no exact cause, however, learning more about the symptoms of the diagnosis and getting mammogram screenings can help with early detection, which is critical to prevention. And the American Cancer Society raises money for educational programs, and the Susan G. Komen Foundation raises money for research and early detection. And whereas coming together as a community to support mothers, daughters, sisters, aunts, and all others who have been impacted, we can strive to inspire and strengthen the cause through education and research to find a cure for and to ensure the future free from this illness. And whereas the pink ribbon is the most prominent symbol of breast cancer awareness, and in most countries the month of October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The fight for the cure is a never-ending challenge that will one day save lives of many people. Now, on behalf of the Mayor of Satellite Beach, Mr. Frank Catino, of Brevard County, Florida, we, the City Council, do hereby proclaim National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And this proclamation has been signed the 7th day of October 2015. Thank you, ladies. I'd like to turn it over to you if you guys have any comments at all. You know, we're big supporters of it in the city, so we'd just like to hear how we can help our citizens or things that we can do.
So I will speak on behalf of the American Cancer Society. I'm the chairperson for the American Cancer Society. It's a volunteer position. I work for Brevard Public School. And my goal is to educate and inspire our community to take better good care of themselves, to go for early screening, diagnostic mammograms. And one thing that we do with the American Cancer Society, we provide research, education, advocacy, and services. If you know somebody who's alive because of having gone through cancer treatment, chances are most excellent because of the research, education, and advocacy that the American Cancer Society has done. We have a fantastic walk, and we're going to invite the entire city of Satellite Beach. Yeah, everybody, friends, neighbors. And it's October 24th, and it's at the stadium. We have a great website, it's makingstrideswalk.org, and then you can click on Brevard, and we invite you to join a team, start a team, come out. It's a great event. We have 13,000 people that come out for the event. It's a sea of pink. It raises hope. Makes you feel good that so many people are coming together to raise funds. The money for that event goes just for breast cancer. So thank you.
Ladies, anybody?
And on behalf of Breast Friends of Florida, I want to thank Satellite Beach. I'm a citizen of Satellite Beach. I lived in Satellite Beach for 24 years, a long time, and the support that this city, and especially the fire departments, and our neighbors and our friends here give to this organization and to breast cancer in Brevard County and in this area is really outstanding. Satellite Beach shines. They really do. And I am very proud to be a citizen of Satellite Beach. And I thank you for all of your support.
Ladies, thank you for all your hard work. It's made a difference in this community. We really appreciate it. I have 2 copies of the proclamation. One will be official and one is a copy. So let you guys know. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Moving on to agenda item 4, citizens' comments. This is for non-agenda items. The floor is open. Citizens' comments on non-agenda items. Hearing none, bring it back to council. City council comments. Anyone would like to start?
I would just say, I took part of the coastal cleanup that took place a few weeks ago. Really good event, a lot of volunteers that were out there. I've also visited Cocoa Beach recently. I'll tell you what a difference between our beaches and their beaches. I was really, ours always seems very impressive, very clean. Even when you go out to do the cleanups, there's really not much to pick up as a whole, which is good. Good comparison. And the only other thing I would just like to say is I continually to be impressed with how many fire calls our guys get. That little app that the chief gave me, I cannot describe how many times they're going out all hours of the day, all hours of the night, one after another, after another, after another. I'm not sure all the residents understand how busy that fire department is. I mean, I'm really grateful to have them there. Of course, I love them because they're right across the street. But again, I am very impressed. They do a great job, but they certainly are on the go all the time. What an outstanding group over there. That's it.
No, sir. Got nothing.
I'll do one down the line. I had a resident or business owner stop me tonight. Passed me on the road, turned around, and came and stopped me and said, listen, I want to say something to the city. And first he said, his name's Dave Allison. I think a lot of people know him. He owns the building up where Sun on the Beach is. And his first comment was, that was as good of a beach caster as he's ever seen, and to tell Lorraine, thank you very much, and for staying in touch with the community. The other person he said to say thank you for is because of the project on Shell Street. And he said to make sure Bert Settembrino, who he said is magnificent there. If you watch him, the way he handles people, it's super. And he said, I never worked really very close with the city before, and now I have. And he says it's amazing. And to thank Lorraine, thank Bert, and Alan, make sure you tell Bert. Thank you. That's all I have.
I attended the Brevard delegation meeting along with the mayor and Councilman Osmer and the city manager on the 22nd of September. And it was pretty interesting to listen to all of the wants that were basically out there from not only the municipalities and the county, but a lot of the private industry in the area. Our delegation has a lot of different issues that they're going to be dealing with in Tallahassee when the session starts. And I also want to congratulate Councilman Osmer on his ability to articulate our city's position and our needs. He did a great job representing Satellite Beach up there. So, Steve, thank you for taking the lead on that. I also had kudos to our Public Works Department from one of my customers who lives on the corner of Harwood and Kale with the storm work that you're doing over there. She was really impressed with the fact that you communicated with her, you didn't destroy her sprinklers, and everything got put back together again the way she wanted it. So she wanted me to pass that along to you. And the last thing I have is, our police department, actually I have two things. Our police department received, their accreditation, today. So I'm not gonna spoil Courtney's presentation, but congratulations to our police department. They do a great job. We were the first in the county to have that happen, and we're continuing to be a leader. And the last thing I want to talk about is the fire department too, and I agree with Steve. The community medic program that our fire department has made a huge difference in a lot of the residents in Satellite Beach. We have one fire member who goes out into the community. They monitor several patients on iPods, and that program is working wonders for the lives of a lot of people who didn't get that care in the past. And it's a great program, and once again, we were the leaders on that. That program is probably going to be moving to other municipalities around the country, and it's a great program, and it got its start here in Satellite Beach. That's all I have.
I'm glad to get feedback on that Beachcaster because my intention was to let our residents realize the value that they're getting for their tax dollars, and that's what I hope to achieve, and from the feedback I'm getting, that's the way it was received, so I'm glad to hear that. And I would also say about our city employees, it's so easy to be proud of every one of them in every department. They're just an amazing group of people. And then going from the sublime to the ridiculous, I attended the South Beaches Coalition meeting. Fortunately, our city manager was there to brief us on what occurred at the MPO's TAC meeting that morning. It's hard to know what to say in polite company. And I will say that at the end of this year, the seat rotates to Indy Atlantic. And then 2 years later, it comes back to Satellite Beach. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any further council comments? Okay, thank you. Moving on, city manager's report. Courtney.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a list of events in my report, and they're only about half of what we actually have going on, and I just picked a few because I kind of wanted to keep my report to one page, and otherwise it would have been three. It's fall, so we have a lot of events going on in the city, and we did post some of that to Facebook to try to get the community to, make them all aware of all the events. But one exciting one that kind of goes along with our green initiatives is the second annual National Costume Swap Day, which we are holding on October 10th from 9 to 11 at the DRS Center, 9 to 11 a.m. And basically from up to October 9th, from now until October 9th, you can turn in an old costume and get a voucher, and then come back on October 10th and pick out a different costume. So that's a pretty exciting program, I think.
What kind of costume?
A Halloween costume.
Oh.
Yes, it's coming up to Halloween, sorry. And then October 10th, we have the Friends of the Library will be holding their garage sale at our community center, beginning at 7 a.m. And this is a fundraiser, an annual fundraiser for the Satellite Beach Library. And then, of course, the next day, on October 11th, the Powell Lions Club Pancake Breakfast, which is always a favorite of mine, definitely a favorite of the mayor's. And that starts at 8 o'clock, and it'll go until noon, and that's at the Civic Center right here. And tickets are $5. You can purchase those in advance, or you can just go up to the Civic Center and get them the day of, same thing. We also have the second annual Vintage Volkswagen Show, which will be at our community center on October 18th, and that's from 8 until 4 p.m., and that's pretty popular. It's been gaining in popularity. I think last year we had a record amount of entries. I did want to point out in my informational items that we received a thank you note regarding Evidence Tech Patty No, with some assistance. She helped in trying to find a boy's bike for an underprivileged 14-year-old. That is not my phone. So. I did attend a Tourism Development Council Beach Committee. That is a committee that I sit on. I attended that on September 22nd. We received an update from Brevard County Natural Resources Department regarding the Midreach project. That project has been funded by the Army Corps of Engineers for the engineering phase of the project. It's a very persistent caller. Okay. I'm going to give it a raise to whoever is able to turn that phone off. Okay, good.
Hopefully they won't call back.
Thank you.
Okay, so basically the Midreach project is in the engineering phase. So the Army Corps of Engineers, they have funded that phase of the project. The next phase would be construction, and that is expected to be funded for the year 2017. Our contract with Waste Management will be expiring May 2016, and therefore we will be seeking a consultant to assist us through that request for proposals process. We believe we can obtain a consultant and pass the cost of that consultant on to whoever won the contract. So we would prefer to have some assistance in creating that RFP, since we don't do it every day, and we feel that a professional would help us get a better product in the end. So we will be bringing that back to you, and we will be starting that process by the end of November of this year. And I did want to mention that our police department, this morning, I woke up at 5 in the morning, so I could drive down to Weston, Florida this morning, to see them receive a reaccreditation, and they did obtain the Excelsior Award this year, which means that they received 5 straight years of a reaccreditation. 5 reaccreditations, and they're all 3 years apiece, so it's 15 years worth of being accredited. And that means that they basically are top-notch in terms of processes and best management practices in law enforcement, in terms of state and national standards. So we're very proud of them. We were the first department in Brevard County to be accredited, and now we are the first department of Brevard County to receive the Excelsior status, so we're very excited for them.
Awesome.
And I do have one action item I need to add to my report, and I apologize for that. And this, I'm going to thank John Fergus for reminding me of this important issue I forgot to put on my report. This is the scope of services for the sustainability plan assessment. We were basically asking to enter into an agreement with Florida Institute of Technology to complete that assessment, and that would be a cost up to $5,000, and we would be asking you to allow us to create that budget from the recycling fund, which has a balance of around $80,000, so we have plenty of funds in that fund for this. But basically, this assessment is out of our league in terms of staff, so we really need their expertise on at FIT. And of course, using our local school is, certainly attractive to us in our local area. So we would like to do that. The Florida Institute of Technology would begin this project after your approval, and then they would complete it by May 20th of 2016. And we would bring back periodic things to you for your comments and approval.
Make a motion for the city to compensate Florida Institute of Technology for the assessment, and the total will cost up to $5,000 for an intern.
Second. I have a motion by Vice Mayor Montanaro, second by Councilman Breimer. A discussion from council?
Could you amend the motion to include the hourly rate and the...
I was going to keep reading, but I stopped, so I will include that at 8 hours per week at $20 per hour.
Yeah, so I'll amend my motion. Second, I'll amend my
An
second.
amended motion by Vice Mayor Montanaro, second by Councilman Breimer.
Yes.
Discussion from council. At this time, because it is an action item, I'll open up for public comment. Hearing none, back to council. Courtney, question, how long do they anticipate this taking?
It would be completed by May 20th of 2016.
And this will go along with our resiliency study and so forth?
It would be compatible, but it's really a separate item. It's basically kind of creating the baseline data that we would need to measure our performance in all of our green initiatives in the city. So it's kind of the first phase of a sustainability plan. And the Green Committee has reviewed this and recommended approval for it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, Lenore?
Councilwoman Gott?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes.
Mayor Catino?
Yes, motion passes. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, before we move on, I would like to ask the city manager to read that email from Mr. Hart regarding Patty No. I found that to be one of the most extraordinary recognitions I've ever seen, and I think it's worth reading into the record.
Courtney?
Sure. This is by Dennis Hart, and it was sent to me on September 3rd, 2015, and it says, Ms. Barker, I am sure I don't have to tell you about your employee, Patty No. She helped me find a boy's bike for an underprivileged 14-year-old boy who attends Delora. If you could have seen the look on this boy's face when I handed over his bike, it was worth 1,000 words. Please pass along my thanks to your staff and PD for her help. She refused to accept any credit, and since she couldn't find a bike available, offered her son's bike to this boy. His parents were almost crying, and he had a smile ear to ear. Patty is wonderful. I have been living in Satellite Beach since 1962, and this is the kindest act I have witnessed.
Rather extraordinary.
Yep. Great. Thank you, Courtney. At this time, I would like to move up agenda item 11, and take that now. Wish council okay with that?
Sounds good.
Thank you. Agenda item number 11, discuss, take action on resolution number 961. Jim?
Resolution number 961, a resolution of the City of Satellite Beach, Brevard County, Florida, supporting the current version of the draft bill entitled Misuse of Public Office Act, providing an effective date. So reading of resolution number 961.
Thank you. Council comments?
Move to adopt Resolution 961.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Gott, second by Councilman Breimer. Any discussion from council?
Yeah, I would just say that I think that this is probably long overdue, and it's a very good idea.
At this time, because it is an agenda item, I'll open up for public comment. Please.
Well, I'm Matt Reed from Florida Today, and I've been leading the Gannett newspapers and websites' efforts to get this bill introduced, and I just came back from Tallahassee from meetings with legislative leaders. We've got sponsors now for this, which is great news. If you vote for this, I want to thank you 2 times. First, on behalf of my Gannett colleagues and the sponsors of this bill and taxpayers across the state, it's high time we did something in the right direction. And we think this is a very simple bill that makes nothing newly illegal. It just allows prosecutors to act when they do find something that is plainly corrupt. So thank you for that support. First city, I think, in Brevard County and maybe even Florida to step up on that, so that's fantastic. Secondly, as a resident and longtime homeowner and taxpayer in Satellite Beach, I really want to thank you for what I see as a statement of values. To me, this says that my city is committed to operating with integrity and good government, and if one of us should stray and do something illegal, well then they face the consequences, and I think most of my neighbors would probably agree that's an okay thing. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Floor is still open for public comment on this agenda item. Hearing none, back to council. Any council comments? Matt, thank you very much for spearheading it. Great piece. Hearing no further.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gott?
Yes.
Mayor Catino?
Yes, motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay. Back to the agenda, going to agenda item 7, discuss, take action on the results of an invitation to bid for Roosevelt Avenue improvements.
Good evening, David King with Quinton Hampton Associates. Alan, you want to lead in, or you want to jump right into it?
Well, this is the package that we've been working on for a while to help improve our infrastructure that's been suffering for so long since the downturn of the economy, and some badly needed improvements that we've been working on for a little while. Trying to get everything together and trying to do it the most economical way, possible. So David and I have been working on a plan, brought it forward to the city manager. I think it's a good plan, and David's here to answer any questions that you have.
Would you like me to summarize it real quick? We bid out this project in 3 parts. Part A was basically the reconstruction of Roosevelt Avenue along with the landscaping. Part B was the resurfacing program for the city. And Part C was a stormwater pipe replacement project. We are recommending to award Part A, which is the Roosevelt reconstruction, and the landscaping, which is the alternate two, to Massey Corporation in the amount of $1,066,116.86. The second recommendation is to award Part B to Joe Bear, which this is the street repaving program, in the amount of $878,673.68. And in terms of the Part C bid, we are recommending to reject that bid. We would like to go back to review to see if we could do that in-house or have to rebid it out.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Gott, second by Councilman Breimer. I got a couple questions. So we will have a performance bond on this, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's really all I had. I wanted to make sure. For one of the companies is fairly new, if I perceive that, 2011.
They were incorporated in 2011, but they have been around for a number of years. I know when I worked at Cocoa 16 years ago, they were in existence. I don't know exactly how long they've been as a form, but I think incorporated in 2011, so.
Correct. Any further?
No, sir.
I just go on, I noticed a lot of these, the bids actually came in higher than what we were expecting. Was there any particular reason that came out of that, or why, or how come? And
we're seeing a lot of that lately. We've been talking with a lot of contractors, kind of getting the common answer that this is now the first time in many years they've been able to bid for profit and not just bid to stay alive, basically. Times are good, everybody's busy, contractors are being selective. I was happy to get 5 bids on this. We've seen a lot lesser number of bids. We've seen no bids on some projects even because everybody's so busy. So good number of bids. They were higher than expected, but it's because of the economy right now. Things are going well for everybody.
That was kind of the same question I had, and I know that, based on what's gone on over the last 8 or 9 years, there's a lot fewer companies out there that are actually doing these type of projects. So, because that was the first thing that I thought too. I looked at it and went, this is like 15%. But it's indicative of, where we are in the economy right now. People are busy. They can afford to bid these jobs a little bit higher, and
our engineers'
should have done this last year.
Our engineers' estimates are kind of based on previous bids, in recent years. So it's a little play to catch up. We've been trying to factor up our contingency because of that, because we've seen a lot of this lately. But again, our engineers' estimates based on recent bids, and the price keeps rising, we're going to always be a step behind. But that's the reason for the higher than expected bids.
Great, thank you.
And we also are recommending in the plan, the overall plan with the total loan. We were recommending to move the monies that we had set aside for the DeSoto Field project, because by the time we are getting ready to construct that project, we will likely have the match built up in our stormwater fund anyway for that. So in that way, it worked out in a way as positive as you can be.
Thank you. Any further comment before I open it up for public? Okay, thank you. At this time, I'll open up for public comment on agenda item 7. Hearing none, back to council. When do we expect to let this bid out? When do we expect for us to start the project?
Because it's so late in the year, I think what we're going to shoot for is after the first of the year, only because when we start tearing up streets and things like that, and then during the holiday season, people are going to get, a little concerned. So we'd like to wait until after that time of year to start disrupting people's lives, basically.
That's what I want to say.
I think we discussed that too at one of our city meetings, where people asked about that. And I think the other part was, we know kids are going to be out of school for a couple of weeks during the Christmas holidays, and we don't really want all this kind of going on right in the middle of when we know everybody's going to be home and everybody's going to be doing the holidays. And I do remember talking to residents about that. We had that discussion with them.
One thing too, I'd like to make sure we talked about it today, that we have one final meeting with the residents in that area, because as much as we tell them we're going to do our best job to make it quiet, clean, and so forth, and they all want this project to occur, boy, when they start, it's never happy, unfortunately. So I think we need to have another good meeting with them and explain what we have planned and when it's going to start, and hopefully you know.
Yeah, and we call that tailgate meetings, that's what we did with the Shell Street project. So we'll have one more meeting where we lay out the plans, and we have the contractor there to discuss how the construction's going to occur, the timing of it, and, obviously, things get delayed if there's weather problems and stuff like that, but, so we'll explain all that during that period of time, and it's a time for them to answer questions, look at the plans one more time to make sure that they're okay with it, and so we'll definitely get that done.
Great. Thank you very much.
Speaking of Shell Street, can you just kind of give us an idea, what the time schedule on that is as far as being done?
They're moving towards the end of the project. I can't give you a definite date, but I would anticipate it being completed by the end of this month or the middle of next month. I think we'd probably lean towards more the middle of next month, just to be on the safe side in case, we run into any difficulties. The good news is that tomorrow we are going to put the first lift of asphalt in, so that will make a cleaner area. It'll clean it up a little bit. The dust won't be flying near as much, and then we'll be able to press on with our other aspects of the project in a cleaner environment. And hopefully, like I said, barring any major equipment or weather delays, we should be done by the middle of the month.
Thank you. Any further discussion on agenda item 7? No. Here none. Lenore?
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilman Dodd?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion passes. Dave, thank you very much. Alan, thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 8, discuss, take action on ordinance number 1107. Jim?
Ordinance number 1107, an ordinance of the City of Satellite Beach, Brevard County, Florida, amending Section 30-706 Satellite Beach City Code, establishing an effective date to remove nuisance trees defined therein, including limited grandfather provision, providing severability, providing effective date. It's the second reading of ordinance number 1107.
Motion to approve ordinance number 1107 on second reading.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Breimer, a second by Councilwoman Gott. I think that's what I heard first.
I think it was his second.
Okay, let me repeat that. I have a motion by Councilman Breimer and a second by Vice Mayor Montanaro. Further discussions from council?
Mayor, I just have one suggestion. Considering all the work that Mr. John Baker did on this ordinance, would it be appropriate if I wrote a letter for your signature thanking him for all his work on behalf of the council? Okay.
Yeah, please. Great. Okay, any further discussion before I open it up?
I'm just glad that the people that came to the last meeting brought up that issue, because, this would have passed, and that scenario would have been out there, and we would have had people who might have been displeased with the decision that we made. And I think it was wonderful that they came and we talked about it, and we amended this to include those trees being able to stay there until they die.
We could also send a letter to that, gentleman, I can't remember his name, but letting him know that you did affect the process, and here's the result, and thank you for your attendance.
So they haven't been told yet that we're doing this?
I don't think so. Have you? No.
One question here. From our citizens, is 90 days enough time? Phil, how many are there? Is this something that we're not going to put a hardship on them from a time standpoint?
I do believe that 90 days is appropriate, and as long as we see that they're making efforts towards that end, it's not like on the 91st day that they're going to get a nasty gram in the mail. So really what we're asking to do is that they move forward with that process of removing those trees.
I just want to make sure that, when are we going to notify them? We're going to do it tonight, so we don't want to eat up the number of days because we didn't get the notifications out.
I've already started drafting a letter. Depending on what kind of trees they have on the property, it can vary slightly, but the letter will be fairly generic. And in the past 60, 90 days that we've been playing around with this, we've been out there inventorying, trying to get an idea of how many were out there. And in 22 is probably an accurate number of properties. So we have the addresses, and the first thing will happen is we'll get a letter out there basically talking about not only the ordinance, but more importantly, the resolution on ways that we can help in that process. And then we'll follow up with them after that. And then there will be a personal contact where we can come up with a strategy on how to accomplish it.
Great.
But they would certainly need to be in substantial compliance by January 8th.
Correct.
I just want to make sure it was enough time with the holidays and so forth that we gave them enough, because we have 2 holidays in there. We have Thanksgiving and Christmas, so. Any further questions for open up for public? This time, open up for public comment on agenda item 8. Hearing none, back to council.
I can tell you from the beautification board that I was at the other day, of course, they are all accepting this and really like this, and they asked the same question I think you did, is that what if we have more of a hardship issue with a citizen? And as I told them, I said, if there's anything that's going to come about that seems to be a hardship, they should contact the city, and we'll do what we can to help resolve this. That we weren't going to, as John said, we're not going to go out there and drop off a message and walk away and come back in 90 days and make sure that you did it. That if there's any issues or any problems, by all means, contact the city, and we'll do what we can to make this as easy and seamless as possible out there. But I think all the adjustments we did to this, from at least the citizens I've talked to, all are in agreement that they like what we did here. So I think it should work out well.
Great, thank you. Any further comment? Hearing none, Lenore?
Councilman Gott?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Mayor Katina?
Yes, motion passes. John, thank you very much for working on this. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on to agenda item 9, discuss, take action on resolution 957. Jim?
Resolution number 957, a resolution of the City of Satellite Beach, Brevard County, Florida, establishing a one-time reimbursement program for removal of certain nuisance trees, providing an effective date. It's a reading of resolution number 957.
Motion to approve resolution number 957.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Breimer, second by Vice Mayor Montanaro, to approve resolution 957. Discussion.
I think this is an excellent opportunity to use some of our recycle trust money to help community members who might fall into that category that you mentioned, because there are some people out there that are going to need this assistance, and I think this is great that we're able to do this.
Yeah. Thank you. This time, I'll open up for public comment on agenda item 9. Hearing none, back to council. Okay, no further comments?
Councilman Gott?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Mayor Katina?
Yes, motion passes. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Moving on to agenda item 10, discuss, take action on ordinance number 1111. Jim?
Ordinance number 1111. An ordinance of the City of Satellite Beach, Brevard County, Florida, amending the Satellite Beach Personnel Policy, Section 12.01, Job Classification Levels, to add job classification for Deputy Recreation Director and salary range, to add job classification for Comptroller and salary range, providing an effective date. It's the second reading of ordinance 1111.
Motion to approve ordinance number 1111 on second reading.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Breimer, second by Councilman Osmer. Discussion?
So Carrie's really going to retire, huh?
No.
No.
Had that discussion yet.
Really thought that through, Carrie?
Talking about it.
And that means you have to go alligator hunting more with... Okay. This time, open up for public comment on agenda item 10. Hearing none, back to council. Further council comments? Hearing none. Lenore?
Councilman Gott?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Mayor Katina?
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 12, we did 11 earlier. Discuss, take action on resolution 962. Jim?
Resolution number 962, a resolution of the City of Satellite Beach, Brevard County, Florida, encouraging the Brevard County Board of County Commissioners to reconsider the recommendations of Brevard County's Blue Ribbon Advisory Committee for Transportation Infrastructure and encourage the establishment of 2 or more funding recommendations for roadway maintenance and capacity improvements, providing an effective date.
Thank you. Discussion?
I'll make a
Yes.
motion to adopt Resolution 962.
I have a question.
Okay, I'll go ahead and second. Okay, I have a motion by Vice Mayor Montanaro, second by Councilman Breimer, and we have discussion. Councilman Dodd?
I apologize that I didn't have time to discuss this particular resolution with the city manager before the meeting, but on the back page, section 1, it says, strongly encourages the county commission to reconsider recommendations and establish 2 or more of the funding recommendations for maintenance and capacity improvements. I don't know what that means.
There are 3 funding recommendations that were made by the Blue Ribbon Committee. 2 of the funding recommendations could be used for maintenance, and 1 could only be used for capacity improvements. So what we're trying to say here is, establish more than 1 so you can have a capacity funding source and a maintenance funding source.
So we're not recommending anything, really?
No, we're just saying, out of those recommendations, look at establishing 2 or more of those funding recommendations.
So we're just prodding them to get off the dime, is that
Correct.
it?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, then I have a question about, we have paperwork in here coming from, hang on, from City of Palm Bay, and showing a resolution that took a very specific stance, and I'm wondering, what is the relationship of the Palm Bay documents to what we're doing here?
They're very similar, trying to get the county commission to look at road funding sources. However, the city of Palm Bay was very specific in wanting the infrastructure sales tax. However, the infrastructure sales tax would need to be put on the ballot, and it's one funding source that it would bring in the most money, which is probably why Palm Bay was attracted to it, because they have such a large problem. But it was my recommendation to simply ask the county commission to reconsider the Blue Ribbon Committee's recommendations and give them the flexibility of deciding which 2 they would pick, because infrastructure sales tax is a very big endeavor to do.
And actually, this was being discussed at the League of Cities, and Palm Bay jumped the gun, knowing full well that the Space Coast League of Cities was trying to come to, some agreement on how it was going to be handled as a whole, and then that came out. They passed this at one of their meetings, and then Trey Holton, sent out multiple letters to council people in the county asking for assistance on this particular item, which was kind of contrary to what the League of Cities was looking at doing as a whole.
My only concern is how it passes, how the distribution of dollars. Because the 60% doesn't make a lot of sense to our city from the standpoint, we don't have any county roads
That's
that I'm
correct.
aware of here. So,
We would be, to implement the gas tax, or, anything like that, the county would have to enter into interlocal agreements with us. So we have an interlocal agreement right now for our current gas tax. So we would have that seat at the table to negotiate that. And I would strongly recommend that we would argue for our current distribution percentage, because we don't have any county roads and we don't have that issue. The other cities that annex alongside of the roads and refuse to take over the county road, then they should be the ones to give up their percentage, not the city of Satellite Beach.
thank you.
So this week at the county commission meeting, they went, and I thought they got rid of the impact fees, or what was it they were? for the
They
schools?
decided against increasing the impact fees for the school district.
Okay,
And that was actually at the request of the school board. So
Right.
One minute they wanted them, and the next minute they didn't.
So in here, there's a thing that it talks about impact fees. It says additional gas tax, impact fees, and infrastructure sales tax. Which impact fees are they?
That would be transportation impact fees. So that primarily affects commercial businesses. So when you see a Wawa go in or anything like that, every time you see that happening in Brevard County, we're not getting impact fees for that right now.
So ultimately, what's the benefit to us by encouraging them to use the blue ribbon as opposed to not saying anything at all? I mean, if we don't go for this, what difference does that make to us?
Well, if basically what the cities discussed, and the city managers particularly, was that it's kind of easy for cities to sit back and say, county commission, you do it, and not take any of the political heat that goes along with raising taxes. So the idea was to all pass resolutions and take some of that heat. And basically, if we did receive gas tax funds, we could potentially pay off our loan faster, earlier, and if we didn't need our utility tax, you could always go back to lower it, because you'd have a different funding source. So
Does this guarantee our seat at the table if we talk about gas taxes again?
Absolutely. Yeah.
By putting in there? That's why I was just wondering, if we said nothing, again, because we don't have county roads. I mean, I saw the whole list of the county roads, but doesn't really...
If they implemented a gas tax, then yes, we would have a seat at the table, even if we sat here and did nothing. But I think the idea is to, basically tell the county commission it's an important issue for us too. And, we have more roads in the county that we all use that are outside of our city limits. So Babcock being resurfaced and, Ellis Road being expanded, all that has impacts on us. So we really need to start thinking from a countywide perspective and not just what our little city does.
So, and with your calculations here on the additional gas tax, if it happened to be a gas tax, somewhere between $135,000 and $200,000 a year to us.
Yeah, what happened was, like, right now, we get a percentage where the county gets about 40% of the gas tax, and the rest of it's divided throughout the cities based on both population and miles of roads. And then and that percentage probably took years to put together. I mean, years, and so we have that set. And the county was saying, over the years, since we established the first gas tax, many cities, like Melbourne, Titusville, Rockledge, those areas that have areas to expand, maybe not so much Rockledge, but like Cocoa and stuff like that, as they annex roads or, properties alongside county roads, they're not taking the road too. So the county's losing all of that money from property taxes and utility taxes and things like that, but still having to maintain that roadway. And they're saying if the cities are going to continue doing that and they're not going to accept responsibility for the road maintenance, then we are requesting that gas tax percentage be changed to where we get 60% now and you get the rest. And my argument was, well, we're one of those cities that don't have any county roads, so that gas tax percentage should not change. So regardless of what the county does, the county may say, yes, we want to look at the gas tax, and they may pass that. We still have to come back and adopt interlocal agreements that guide that. So that's where you argue that. We're not even close to getting there, because the county still would have to. And I believe the gas tax, if I'm not mistaken, has to be passed by a supermajority vote on the county commission.
I think I jumped ship when you said that the county is looking for others to help take the heat for raising taxes, and the way I look at this is that they're being paid pretty substantial bucks to make the hard decisions.
They did not ask us to do that. That was an idea of the city's discussion in saying, instead of just the county doing this, the city should show support. If we want that funding source too, we should show support by passing resolutions.
Are other cities passing this resolution?
Not this particular one. The city of Melbourne passed one like Palm Bay. The city of Indian Harbor Beach passed one like Palm Bay. And I think the city of Titusville is going to probably pass one like Palm Bay. But the other cities, I believe, are looking towards more broad resolution like this one.
And so those cities that you just mentioned all made specific recommendations about where to raise the tax?
The infrastructure sales tax, yes.
Further discussion before I open up to the public? This time, open up for public comment for agenda item 12. Hearing no further, back to council.
I kind of like this resolution because this is primarily, you're going to see this from the smaller cities like us and Indian Harbor and Indian Atlantic and Melbourne Beach and Cocoa Beach that don't have any county roads and are going to be impacted one way or another. And basically, all this is saying is, you know, we as a joint body of smaller cities are encouraging you to look at other options other than just the specific that Palm Bay is looking for in Melbourne and Titusville.
Question. Where are the funds, when we get it, are they dedicated only to roads and infrastructure? Or is that a decision for us?
No, that's, the gas tax must be used for road
Right.
maintenance, yes, road maintenance.
Okay. Any further discussion? Lenore?
We only have a motion, not a second.
You got a second?
No.
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
Primer second.
You did?
Yes.
Okay, I thought he was going to wait for the discussion. Okay, so, I'm sorry. Councilwoman Gott?
Because I don't think this resolution accomplishes anything, I vote no.
Okay. Councilman Osmer?
No.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes.
Mayor Catino?
Yes. Passes 3-2. Moving on to agenda item 13. Discuss, take action on an agreement between the City of Satellite Beach and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. Carrie?
Thank you. This agreement is the agreement that permits the city to enter into with Florida Department of Environmental Protection for the $41,500 grant, the FERDAP grant, for the renovation and improvements to Cinnamon Park Playground. So we've already been awarded the grant, and this is the signature portion of the agreement.
Further discussion?
I have a question. You know, I used to just write the grants. I never saw any contracts, but does the city sign a contract like this for every FERDAP grant?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Really?
Yes, ma'am. We haven't gotten FERDAP grants for a while because we kind of lost our grant writers.
Well, the only thing they omitted from this contract is giving up your firstborn son. So.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement between the City of Satellite Beach and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection for improvements to the Cinnamon Park Playground.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Montanaro, second by Councilman Osmer. Further discussion?
It's a great savings of $41,500 from our CIP projects.
And that park's used
All the time.
all the time.
Every
I
day.
went by there today.
I don't ever go by there unless it's dark out.
I go by there
Yeah.
every day, many times more than once, since it's only 6 doors down from my house. Yes, it gets used every day.
You
Whether-
need to stay out of there, Steve.
I ride by or walk by. But yes, I see a lot of parents, a lot of little kids, a lot of bicycles parked there, heavily used, heavily used.
And Carrie, thank you and your staff for getting the grant. I mean, this is, I think,
Great.
important to go after these grants. We've always done well in the past in our city with grants. And
I
money's
remember
sitting
that.
out there, you better, that we do well getting them. Money that doesn't cost the city, and it's great benefit to us.
Could be looking for a part-time grant writer in the future, if we know somebody who may be retired, you know.
I would pale in comparison to past years.
At this time, let me open up for public comment on agenda item 13. Hearing no comment, back to council. Any further discussion?
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gott?
Yes?
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes.
Mayor Catino?
Yes. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. When do we, when does it start and all that?
We have to get the signed contract back from DEP. They sign it and then send both originals back. And after that, we can get an order before you, because it will have to come before you for approval of funding. And, right? And then we'll get moving. It doesn't take all that long to do a small playground.
Great. I think we're going to put it in ourselves, or?
No, we don't do that anymore.
You don't, okay.
No. Installation is about a little over half the cost of the playground.
So
And
the
it's
40
it's well worth it.
So the 41 covers the installation too?
It'll be the playground, the installation, new fencing, mulch, a picnic area, and a little tot exercise trail.
Perfect. Great.
That's cute.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item 14, discuss take action on a request for proposal for banking services.
We voted.
You voted, didn't we? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. The staff is requesting your approval for this proposal for banking services. It's basically an RFP to replace Bank of America or get better rates from Bank of America for our banking services. We've utilized Bank of America for years, basically, and we think now is about the time to get a little competition going and see if we can get better rates, better service.
Great. Okay. Discussion?
Yes.
When's the last time we haven't done this in quite some time?
Not since I've been here, and they were the ones, the Bank of America completed the loan with the CRA, so that was some time ago.
Yeah, I remember this back years ago. Just vaguely, but I remember this.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for proposal for banking services.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Montanaro.
Second.
Second by Councilman Breimer. Further discussion? I'll open up for public comment for agenda item 14. Hearing none, back to council. Further discussion?
No.
Lenore?
Councilman McGough?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. And when do you think we'll be back with that information that we work on? Okay,
End of
great.
November.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item 15, City Council, agenda item 15, appointments to boards.
Move to reappoint Bill Mayer to the Beautification Board as primary member, term ending 11/01/18, and Carol Late as the primary member of the Library Board, term ending August 01/18.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Gotz, second by Councilman Osmer. Further discussion? Hearing none, Lenore?
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman McGough?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 16, City Council meeting October 21st, proposed agenda items. Again, like I said in the past, if there's anything someone would like to see on it, please get with Courtney.
I just have a question on item 11. Why would we be joining the Cocoa Beach Chamber of Commerce?
I'll probably go over that with you when you put it on.
In other words, you don't know right now.
No, I do.
Oh.
But, we're just taking an agenda item before we get to it. But basically, most cities are part of Chamber of Commerce, primarily so you can be part of your business community. And most of our businesses here are part of the Cocoa Beach Chamber of Commerce. And you would think it would be the Melbourne, but it's actually the Cocoa Beach Chamber of Commerce.
I have a question, too.
Yep.
Can you tell us what dysautonomia is?
No.
Before we...
Actually, we will know that and have a pronouncement for you by that meeting.
What's his name?
But that's a request from one of our residents.
Dysautonomia.
Dysautonomia.
You're the doctor.
We also will have 2 union contracts on this agenda as well, so.
Okay, great. And thank you. That's October 21st meeting.
So definition.
Again, any further agenda items, please, get with Courtney to put them on here. Okay? There's no minutes, so any further business before council? Hearing none, meeting's adjourned. Thank you, Courtney, thank you, staff.